Welcome everyone to the Fireside Football Chat, episode 13.
My God, 13.
Lucky 13, Jay. Lucky 13.
Here we are at 1-3.
Exactly.
I mean, how good is it?
Day before Thanksgiving.
That's right.
It's a beautiful time of the year.
Playing to be thankful for.
Still got our gear going on here.
Are you kidding me?
We're doing our thing.
I've been sleeping in this thing.
Yeah,
so comfortable.
I did every day, really.
It's a beautiful thing.
I can't wait to wash it.
Chip, we have a lot to be thankful for.
No, absolutely.
And I know we're going to get into it.
Absolutely. You know what's funny, Jay? We made it to 13. And unbeknownst to us, we might have created a trend.
Uh-oh. What do we got?
Well, I mean, you brought it up. We've kind of half talked about it for not talking about it, but back, I don't know how many weeks ago, we're driving against the Carolina Panthers bandwagon.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, Big Red.
Exactly, Big Red. Then that was it. They started covering it and doing some things. You couldn't go against them.
Yeah.
And then Chicago, they were going downhill fast. We decided in the fantasy we're not going to pick anybody on Chicago. But
Chicken
guess
in the
what?
car.
I had DJ Moore on the bench for like 27 points, Jay.
I know. It's unbelievable.
And then it started off a couple weeks ago with a little rant to Jerry Jones.
Oh, Gerald.
And, obviously I'm disenchanted, but, we decided everything we do, we're going to go against the Cowboys. Well, I got to be honest here. Last week I did it on emotion, and I don't like picking on emotion, but I just think that they were that bad. But a couple times I've told you, hanging out watching the Penn State game, I said, don't be surprised if Dallas covers a lot of points. And what do? They not only covered, Jay, they won outright.
Outright victory.
I don't know. So,
yeah, that one hurt.
Hey, we setting the trend, no? But hey, what's wrong with that?
So you know what, those guys
Jump
out there?
aboard.
Yep, you all can go with or you can go against. It's your call.
Yes.
We've got trends for both directions.
Yes. What did you see this week in football, Jay?
Oh man, well that was a stinger. I was so confident that the Commanders were going to roll the Cowboys, and there you go. Go ahead, get yourself overconfident in this game. It'll bite you in the where, brother.
That's right.
Kudos to Kansas for taking it to Colorado.
Yeah.
I had Colorado -2.5 last week, and then Texas A&M. Back and forth. I mean, they battled to come back in that game at Auburn. Send it to OT. They score with a touchdown the first time they get the ball. Auburn scores back and forth. 4 overtimes. Auburn, I think, did they get it? I'm trying to think if they had a touch. Or no, they had to go. They got to the point where they had to go for 2, right? Like, you have to keep going for 2.
See, I was going to ask you that because all of a sudden I wanted to check one. I'm like, wait a second. And I don't know the college overtime, especially when you get into multiples.
I forget which. Maybe it's 2. Maybe it's once you get into the third. It's you have to go for 2 every time.
I was like,
it gets beyond the kicking piece. It's either the second or the third.
I think it's the third one because the last couple ones I saw, and I meant to ask you. I'm like, what? I've never seen this before. What is multiples anyway? But yeah.
So anyhow, they go back and forth, converting. Now Auburn scores, and here's Texas A&M with a chance. Quarterback hits the guy right in the chest in the end zone, and he drops the football. Game over. Auburn wins. I do not cover. However, A&M has a big chance to redeem themselves this week, and I talked a little bit about it last week. So my lone victory last week was the Iowa -6.5 against Maryland, which, I mean, they're just atrocious, running on fumes. It sounds to me like Mike Loxley might be potentially ran out of town there. I think they only had one Big Ten win this year. Yeah, struggle bus, 1 or 2, something like that. It wasn't great. So that's what I saw. Kicking it back to you, Chip. What do you think, brother?
Well, yeah, I ended up going 2-2. I just, again, when you see one in front of you that jumps out, I'm not going back to the Cowboys game, but still, I'm looking at that. And the Kansas City, which, stay tuned for the pros, but Kansas City, I don't want to see. You're smooth sailing. It's like almost like they got that phone call. Hey, like remember the Sulkies and the horses back in the day? Pull that guy back a little bit.
Out there at Aqueduct.
Yeah, that's right. So, the fun fact before we go into college this week.
Always like the fun facts.
I have actually two of them. One is actually a really good one, just because of that time of year and everything. One is, and they both revolve around the Cowboys. And again,
surprise.
I'm not looking. However, but I don't know if this is a fun fact or a flipping crazy fact, but Jerry Jones said, now again, he's a marketing genius. He keeps people engaged, and he always, like I said, I think last week or the week before, he makes a bologna sandwich sound like an Italian hoagie. But the fun, crazy fact for me this week, or the first one is, Jerry said it's not a crazy idea to extend Mike McCarthy.
Boy, that's earth-shattering news.
I was like, was that one of those let's throw the set off, or really going to let him go, or what? But I'm like,
profound. That's a profound statement, my friend.
They let him out there. They let him out there all year without a new deal. And now you're saying after a dumpster fire season, it's not a crazy idea?
Old strategy, Cotton.
Hey, I don't know. But the good fun fact before I go in is, if we all watch, of course I do, the Thanksgiving games, and the relationship with Dallas Cowboys and the Salvation Army. The Red Kettle campaign, everybody remembers Zeke jumping in, and that's something they do every year. It's a good thing. But this is the fun fact, which is a good fact, and I didn't realize it, is since they did this, I think 28 years ago, they've raised over $3.1 billion. That's good to help needy families, and that's kind of a thing close to my heart. Not necessarily Salvation Army, but trying to give back and help people.
Absolutely.
We know that. So
For sure.
I thought that was a good fun fact that I thought was worth mentioning.
Oh, for sure.
Just happens to be with the Cowboys, so I happen to see that. So
yeah, there's a lot of people, that have a hard time putting a meal on the table, and to know that they've raised that kind of money. Whether you take all your biases out of it, whether you hate the Cowboys, you don't really care. That right there is a big deal.
Especially when it goes from $1 million to $1 billion. That's a big number. That's a big number. So kudos to your efforts to give back to the community. If we can just give back to our fans now, maybe get the ship going on the right side. I don't know.
Start it up, Chip. Let's get it going. Let's be the first one right here. First winner right here.
That's right. So going to the college game, we've obviously talked about these names a lot. You have. I thought Indiana would have gave Ohio State a better game last week, but they didn't. They got their first loss, but now they're going into, the Boilermakers.
Yeah.
They're not going in. Purdue's coming in to Indiana.
Oh, the stink pot comes in.
Yeah, the stink pot comes in. So they don't have to travel for the Thanksgiving holiday. The Boilermakers do, and they just happen to be getting 28.5 points, which is a lot.
In some circles, it is.
That's right. And to go after the fact of Kurt Cignetti's big presidential push with all his votes, and the fact every time he turns around, he's got a little cockiness to him, says, Google me. So Google the record. They're doing well. I think it's after that hard, I won't say hard fought, but this has got to be an easy game for them. 4 touchdowns and a hook. I think Indiana does it. So there we go.
You going Indiana?
Going Indiana minus 28.5. That
20.
Hook hopefully won't hurt.
The hook. Well, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Listen, I know what the Boilermakers are. I've watched plenty of them this year. A lot of Big Ten football, as you know, and they are members of the stink pot.
Yes, they are.
Okay, they went in for a little bit. They came out. They earned their way out.
Yes,
I
they
gave them
did.
the credit, but they've been back
For
in
1 week.
Yeah, but they've been in for a while.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. I think with Indiana, they're also they're out to prove to people. You know what? That Ohio State thing, it was a couple of special teams blunders potentially. and they're out to prove everybody.
Well, sometimes
they
when
belong.
you're trending on the rise, you still got to get knocked down.
Yeah.
And they always have that loss. I mean,
And you know they're going to want to put the foot on the necks, like to show everybody, hey.
that's why I sniffed them out.
Yep.
Thanks to all your knowledge and all your insights every week, Jay.
We'll see.
All right, who you got?
All right, I'm going to start with Vanderbilt plus 11 at home against Tennessee. Right now, the Commodores, believe it or not, are 6-5 this season, already earning a bowl trip, my friend. And that is a big deal for Vanderbilt, especially in that SEC.
Sure,
Just
absolutely.
a brutal schedule week in and week out with some of their opponents. So big deal there. By the way, they're 4-2 on their home turf, with one of those being a 3-point loss to the third-ranked Texas Longhorns. 3 points. They did do this, though, at home, by the way. They took down, at the time, the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide on their turf at First Bank Stadium in October. They're battle-tested, okay? They're battle-tested, and they thrive on playing that spoiler role, particularly at home. You know as well as I do, there'll be nothing sweeter for the Commodore than to take down their home state rivals.
That's right.
And knock them out of the college football playoff discussion. That would put Tennessee at 3 losses. Probably out of the discussion.
Out.
Now, I understand Vanderbilt just has to cover the 11 points that they're given at home, right? They're getting 11 points. But with some of the upsets that took place last week, I believe there was 4 of them in the SEC, right? We had Ole Miss lost, Alabama lost, Texas A&M lost, and there's one more that I'm missing because there were 4 of them. Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. We're missing a big one here. There was one other one. I'll think of it. Anyhow, it wouldn't surprise me one iota if the Commodores beat the Volunteers outright Saturday afternoon. Okay. Tennessee, by the way, they're just 2-2 against conference opponents with 3 or more SEC wins, right? They lost to Arkansas. That was a stinger. They lost to Arkansas back in October. And pretty recently, they just got throttled by Georgia in Athens. So one thing they do have going for them, I will say this. Last week, okay, that was pretty much a bye, right? They beat up on the mighty Miners of UTEP 56-0. All right. Now, the quarterback of the Commodores, going back to Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, led the team in both passing and rushing last week. I know usually it's said the other way, but it was a gutsy loss to LSU 24-17 at Tiger Stadium, by the way. They were at LSU. It's a good game. It's a close game, and he led them in both passing and rushing. Vanderbilt's going to need big games from Pavia and that wide receiver Quincy Skinner Jr. in order to walk away from this one with a victory. I see it being a tight contest either way, though, Chip. I see it being tight with the Commodores easily covering the 11 points they're being provided. So as far as I'm concerned, land-based Vanderbilt here. Okay, Tennessee will prove they do not belong in the college football playoff as the magic of the First Bank Stadium takes over, and it's yet another trip to the Cumberland River for the Vanderbilt faithful as they upset the Vols and stamp a big old punctuation mark on this memorable regular season. Side note, for those of you attending this contest, be safe out there post-game as you're scaling that monstrosity of a wall to get field level and celebrate with your beloved Commodores. That said, enjoy the game, folks, and revel in the fruits of your wagers.
I like it, Jay.
Next up, Syracuse plus 10.5 at home against Miami. I know. Means a lot to Miami. This one, my friend, is going to be an offensive explosion. Not sure if you saw that over-under.
I did.
67.5 Perks. Okay? 67.5.
I actually looked at the Tennessee guy. I looked at both of these games, and I was like, ooh.
Could be tasty.
Yeah.
Could be tasty. So Cuse actually is 8-3 on the season, while the Hurricanes are 10-1, and with the victory, they would secure a spot in the ACC championship. That's Miami. The Orange, right, of Syracuse are 5-1 at home this season, and have covered the spread in 4 of its last 5 home games against top 10 ranked opponents. Just a little tidbit out there for you, my friends. As I believe Miami, I know in one of the polls is 8, and maybe in college football is 6. College football playoff is 6. Syracuse would like nothing more than to completely ravage the college football playoff selection with a win against Miami. By the way, on national television on Saturday on ESPN, 3:30 game.
There we go.
Now, how about it, though? In their first season under head coach Fran Brown, the Orange could get to 9 wins, which, by the way, would be just the 3rd time in this here 21st century.
Wow.
Big deal. Big
That
deal.
is a big deal.
Quarterback Colt McCord, the Ohio State transfer, by the way. And I believe he was a St. Joe's Prep product. Has been an absolute rifleman this season, believe it or not, and is a big reason for the Orange's success. McCord leads the nation in passing yards this season with 3,964, edging out, guess who? The Miami gunslinger Cam Ward by 172 yards.
Wow.
Both teams' defenses are suspect, hence the 67.5 point
exactly.
over-under.
Take the over.
And I got to tell you, the bad defenses, it almost bit Miami in the buttissimo. In 3 straight games, they barely nudged by Virginia Tech. And, I remember the end of that game, and it was a very controversial call. Cal, which was an incredible comeback. I thought they were dead and buried at halftime, and they came back and barely won, but they dug themselves that monster hole. And Louisville, 3 in a row. But back on November 9th, it eventually cost them in a loss to the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech. Folks, I see this one being a back-and-forth affair with the final point spread as the clock strikes 0, being anywhere from 4 to 7 points at most. So that, my friends, if it's in that range, would give Syracuse the cover, whether they win or lose. So hammer the Orange, getting 11 points at home against Miami Hurricanes, and see that your significant other is yet another thing to be thankful for on this glorious weekend, following the celebration of the first harvest shared between the Wampanoag people and the Pilgrims. Back in, anyone? Bueller? 1621. Whoa. How about that, Chip? Who'd have thought nearly, 403 years later that we'd be carrying on this great tradition here in the U.S.? I certainly know I'm thankful for it.
I guess I am too.
Why not? Why not?
Why not?
We all are here. Last college game, Texas A&M.
Man.
Getting 5.5 at home. Wait a minute. Let me scroll through this. Texas A&M, Syracuse, Vanderbilt. All home dogs. Couldn't help but to notice.
The trifecta.
The trifecta indeed. Texas A&M getting 5.5 at home against Texas. Both teams with a ton to play for. The Aggies, this game, by the way, is to, I believe, see who goes to the SEC championship and face Georgia. The Aggies are going to be fired up after their 4 overtime loss, as I mentioned earlier, at Auburn last week. And everything's on the line here in the Lone Star Showdown with a chance, as I said, to advance to that SEC championship. Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers has been pedestrian the last few weeks, and it certainly won't get any easier as they're not only facing the Aggies D, but that vaunted 12th man at Kyle Field. I mean, it is brutal to play there, let alone at night in College Station. Oh,
can't wait!
goodness.
I can't wait for that.
They're going to be going bonkers. All meteorologists on deck as seismic waves are going to make their way right through College Station, I believe. The Aggies defensive ends, excuse me, Nick Scouton and Shamar Stewart are going to give the Longhorns O-line fits for most of the night and pressure Ewers into at least 1 interception. I remember back when Texas played, when they got blasted by Georgia, and they were at home getting blasted by Georgia. That offensive line could not hold up against that Georgia D-line. And this D-line of Texas A&M, nasty. They're nasty. It could be a problem for Texas. The Aggies, by the way, maintain the second best red zone offense in the nation, while Texas's red zone O is woefully bad at 76 nationally. This, along with A&M's pesky defense, will be the difference in the game, Chip. I envision a low-scoring affair that the Aggies win, and my bold prediction is that after this victory, aside from the earthquake notifications ringing across phones and televisions nationwide, the goalposts will be carried from Kyle Field to Austin.
Wow.
And kindly dropped off in front of the lawn of Matthew McConaughey's trailer.
Wow.
Yep. Book it, Dano.
Hello, Matt.
Texas was blown out at home by Georgia, as I said, in their only top 10 matchup, and the Aggies will undoubtedly be their toughest opponent since that disaster. The 12th man will play a crucial role in this contest. So, folks, hammer the Aggies at home, getting 5.5, as I see them pulling off the victory outright.
I was waiting, Jay. I was waiting.
And grabbing themselves a date in the SEC championship with the Georgia Bulldogs. That's it for my 3 home college dogs.
I like them all, Jay.
Now on to the NFL.
Here we go.
Had to pivot a little bit. But no big deal. Good players adjust. As I was glancing at the slate, I couldn't help but to notice a line, and I do want to make sure that I'm right with this. I'm going to double check real quick because I almost couldn't believe it.
What game, Jay?
So, yep, it's still there. The Seattle Seahawks are -1.5 at the lowly New York Jets. Now Aaron Rodgers is saying all the right things, right? Yeah. You know who's not buying it? This guy. I think the team's in shambles. I really do. I think both those teams in New York are in trouble.
The football team or the organization?
The organization.
Exactly.
The organization, that's right. And the Giants, oh boy, that's a mess there.
Absolutely.
What a mess. I mean, the poor Giants, the players are the ones that suffer, right? They're going out there killing themselves every week, and all the Giants organization does is go, well, we had this guy named Barkley, but we want to get rid of him. We understand he's the undisputed leader of the team. Let's get rid of him. And then, what was it, just last week, I'm sorry, they decide, you know what, let's get rid of our starting quarterback. That might be a good idea. You know, we'll bring in good old, Danny DeVito? Tommy Danny DeVito?
Well, here, going to that, Danny DeVito, or Tommy, whatever, you got me saying it. He might not play, and the guy they skipped over, Drew Lock, what does he do? Does he light it up, or does he just go, no, I don't know.
We know Malik Neighbors wasn't afraid to speak out to his
Exactly.
coach and the management and say, yo, hey, I'm a winner. I want to win. Don't throw me under the bus with this garbage.
That's right.
Anyhow, I do think that the Jets are in kind of a similar scenario here. And they just seem so bad. They struggle to score points. And I know that we're talking about a triple time zone voyage here for the Seahawks, and that's something that I harp on from time to time. But we have seen that go in both directions this year in the pro.
Oh,
it's not been as consistent. It doesn't affect them quite as much.
No.
And listen, now you got not only quarterback Geno Lewis, right? But you also now have Metcalf back. And Smith and Jigba's playing better football. So as far as I'm concerned, folks, you can go ahead and lay the lumber on the Seattle Seahawks. -1.5 at the lowly New York Jets. Help yourself. And folks, before I pass it on over, just a quick little nibble here. I did want to say happy Thanksgiving to you all, and I'll probably get a chance to say this again at the end of the episode, as I'm certainly thankful for all of those of you who tuned in, and thankful for Jason, our wonderful editor.
Absolutely.
Here. And now yet another person I'm thankful for as I turn it over to our NFL guru, Chip.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Jay.
Absolutely.
No, it's a great time of the year. Thank you, Jay, for that nice Thanksgiving little tribute. I like it.
Of course.
Gotta always remember. So to go on with the pros here, all of a sudden I got a tickle in my throat. So I looked at some games and I'm not sure if anything really popped out at me. But I'm actually, like I said, referring to KC. They gave up a lot of points last week. They didn't cover. They haven't been covering a lot on the big spreads.
How about it?
They're playing Carolina last week, and they were up.
I know.
And they let them back into
I thought it was going to be a slaughter fest.
Exactly. And I was like, here we go. Here I am.
Easy peasy.
It didn't happen.
Not so much.
And then this line comes out this week. The Chiefs giving 13 at home to the Raiders.
See that?
Raiders lost their quarterback. I thought they were going to bring in Daniel Jones just to have some guy that play.
Yeah.
So who knows what they're going to do? Because I think, what is it, McConnell or whatever the guy is?
O'Connell. Yeah.
He's off.
He played for Purdue.
Yeah, he's hurt too.
Yeah, I thought that they were going to bring in Daniel Jones too. Sure enough, he went to Minnesota.
So it's hard to pick Kansas City giving up double-digit points. It is. I know they're at home. I know Pacheco's back. But it's hard to do it. But I want to do it, Jay.
Yes, you are, aren't you? I knew you were going there.
That's right.
I knew you were going there, you snake.
That's right. Not only, obviously, they're gonna win. You know, you would think. But it's could be Patty Mahomes' 100th win. So I think he might want to put, a little
stamp on this one.
That's right. That's
little
right.
Stamp on this one.
I'm going to pick them. But first, I'm going to go back to that Indiana.
What was that line, Chip?
13 that I saw.
13.
Yeah.
At home?
At home. That's right. Thanksgiving weekend. Nobody wants to travel on Thanksgiving. You think the Raiders do?
No.
Another team that's in disarray.
No, you're not kidding, man. That's squads.
Well,
But as we've said,
that's right.
Just when you think things are going, all of a sudden,
just try to figure they cannot not cover double digit. They got to blow somebody out, right? Andy's going to look.
One would think.
Yeah, that's
no
right.
better time than the present, baby.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
So I'm going to go back to the Indiana-Purdue game real quick. Forgot the 8-ball. Not that it matters, but Indiana minus 28.5 against the Boilermakers. It says try again, but I don't know what it said above that. It was like weird. Try again. Outlook, good. So we're going to go with that. So then let's go back to the pros here. Patty Mahomes for his 100th win, winning by at least 2 touchdowns. What do you think, Jay? They got to do it one time. I mean, come on.
at home against Oakland.
Exactly.
Right. What do we got? What's that guy say?
Ask again later. How many? What's
Jesus,
going on here? How many things are in
we
here?
got this kind of time?
I don't. It says yes.
All right.
There we go.
In agreement. We've been on both sides.
There we go.
We got to track that, by the way. We'll have to go back
Yeah.
to the episodes and track it over the off season.
Absolutely. It'd be decent to see.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams, they got slaughtered by the Eagles last week. Wow. And the funny thing about it is, I kind of was like, that line was telling me Rams, but the Eagles are tough, man. Saquon Barkley, let me tell you.
What did McVay say? He said, "Yeah, if they didn't have Barkley, we would have been in it. We'd have been right there." He said,
right.
"We would have been right there if they didn't have Barkley."
Man, the guy is
It
unbelievable.
was a good idea of the Giants to let him go.
Well, no, it was, but think about it. And this is what I tell people. You're absolutely right. And the Eagles getting him. But guess what? If they had any semblance on what they were doing, they should have never drafted him to begin with. A running back, a stud, you see what he is, cannot run without an offensive line.
That's it.
They still don't have one. Daniel Jones is getting, they're blamed for everything. He's not a great quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. He's not a great one.
No longer Daniel Jones.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but he was getting blamed.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you want? Now they're bringing in Danny DeVito, Tommy Cutlets. He's hurt.
Right.
But anyway.
Drew Lock.
Yeah.
I mean, they're Swiss cheese, and it's a shame.
So
and we all predict. A lot of us predicted it when they got him. They're like, this could be tough sledding.
Exactly. And he got hurt. He got hurt. So guess what? Glad for my Eagles brethren out there, the fans. that they got Saquon. It is nice to watch him every week. So, but with that said, I think the Rams are going to rebound because they were playing well. I think they have to. They are at New Orleans.
That Puka is tough.
He's pretty good.
Baller.
That's right, and
you can use him all over the field.
Exactly. He's impressive, very. And I just think that the Rams giving 3 at New Orleans, I think they're going to rebound. They're going to take over New Orleans and get back into the picture, so to speak. So, what does the trusty 8 ball have to say? Signs point to yes.
Yes.
There we go.
I wonder how many sayings old Mr. 8 ball has.
That's right. I want to know how many things are in here.
I'm telling you, I can't wait to
Mr. 8 ball
have his arsenal. That's right. We're going to fire
How
right
many
into
things
the
are
fire.
in here? So now we go to my last game. I like to try to save one for last, and we've seen this every year. And I've jumped in first week of our podcast. I jumped all over thinking they were going to have a little bit different coming out of the gate, but they didn't. It's the same thing every year. And I always keep an eye on them because I really like them to watch in the fantasy. But guess what? Joe Burrow is on fire.
Oh, I looked at that.
He's on fire. He's on fire. And I really like him. I think they're starting to click their defense. Talking about Swiss cheese. Ole, ole on defense. But Pittsburgh, I know they lost this past week to Cleveland. You think they're going to rebound and come in, but the Burrow is on fire. Like I said, I just think that.
I think it's total heat check for him. I looked at that game.
Yeah.
I looked at that game, brother, and I'm like, this is kind of that point in the season where he starts going. He starts getting going. But we'll see where you're going to go with this.
Well,
I don't know completely.
No. I think with Pittsburgh getting 3, I know it's in Cincinnati, but. Like I said, it's that time of the year. I'm going. I like Joe Burrow. I just think
Jamar Chase is heating up too.
No, that's what I mean. They have those weapons, and I think it's that time. Now they have a battle. That's why I'm erring on the side of Bengals because they have to win this. They got to keep running to stay in it. So
what they did to themselves at the beginning of the season, they don't have much in the way of wiggle room. There's not much cushion right now for them.
And year
he badly wants to win.
Exactly.
That dude's a competitor. I know they all are in the NFL. That dude, he may show Mr. Joe Cool on the outside, but inside, he's got a fire, boy.
Absolutely. And I think it's too easy to take Pittsburgh +3. I like Pittsburgh this year. They're playing that old Pittsburgh style, running, grinding it out, this and that. Russell Wilson's playing better than I thought.
Wilson, yeah.
I'm not saying he's lighting it up, but what I'm saying is I just think that, wow, they're getting 3. I know it's in Cincinnati, but with that being said, I'm going with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals -3.
Like it.
Against the Steelers.
Let's
see what the magical Mr. A says.
A little massage. See what it says.
Another outlook good.
Wow, 4 for 4. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
4 all positive outlooks out of that thing.
I don't know if I'm sure about it. If I want the 8 ball liking me though.
I don't. That's why I say we got to go back and look at the tape. We'll do it over
I'd
the
rather them go
offseason.
against me. I'd rather just go against me, and at the end of the year, I prove them wrong and throw in the fire. But I want to see how many things are in here.
I'm curious. We'll we got the receipts.
Hey,
we'll check it out.
That's what we have. So there you have it, Jay. And now we go, Jay, to Mr. Monday Night. What do you have for us this week?
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Thanksgiving edition of Mr. Monday Night, brought to you exclusively by the Fireside Football Chat. This Monday, we have the 3-8 Cleveland Browns traveling to the 7-5 Denver Broncos. The line is Broncos -5.5. Well, what can we say about this game? Cleveland's coming off of a very hard-fought, emotional win last Thursday night in prime time against their division rivals. It was a great game. They showed a lot of heart in that game. And the Broncos, well, since they lost that game to Kansas City on the blocked chip shot field goal that would have won it for them, They've won 2 in a row by double digits. Broncos are 7-5, right in the middle of the playoff mix for the AFC. You know, I think that game for Cleveland last week, that was, you know, they might have topped out after that. That was a big, big win for them. They're not at home. It's not a division rival. The Broncos need this game. 7-5, they're right in the mix. I like the Broncos. Lay the points. See you at the window.
Jay, 13 in the books. 13 in the books. Lucky 13. Here we are. Like we said, be thankful. Day before Thanksgiving. The years have changed. Things would have been different 30 years ago on this night, but guess what? Just going to relax, chill, get ready for some football tomorrow. It's a shame we couldn't pick these games the way we picked, but guess what?
That's good players adjust, as we say.
And guess what, Jay? I'm thankful for you, buddy, because this is fun every week. And everyone, if you're watching it, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Hope everything you're thankful for a lot of things, because I am. Anything else, Jay?
No, you nailed it, Chip. I mean, it's that gratitude. It's so important, so important. And I think, you know, with years comes wisdom, and you start to see and experience more things. And I truly am thankful for my life, what I have, my friends, my family, you guys.
That's right.
You know, Jason and Chip, Jason our editor, and Chip, my co-compadre here. Thankful for it all, and I don't just say that. I'm honest to God.
Me too.
I don't just say that because I'm blowing smoke and because it's the time of the year and you should say it. As a matter of fact, what we need to do is we need to practice more gratitude throughout the year, not just at this time of the year. But I do love to see it.
That's right.
I do love to see it. But folks out there, and I know I'll try to do it myself, is to be thankful and grateful for what we have, not just at this time of the year, but try and do it throughout the entire year.
That's right.
Chip 13 in the books, brother.
That's right. Sometimes
Great work.
You got to be thankful and grateful every day. And I know we're going from the heart now, but I am actually thankful, Jay, that we finally did this.
How about it?
Really, we finally did it. 13, there's going to be a few more at least, and here we are. So with that being said, we'll see you next week. Thanks for coming.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
That's right.